Howdy, Fluffs and non-Fluffs. Welcome back to another Fursuit Friday feature, or at least partial in this case. Today, I want to talk about a little bit of VR. So, recently, I got the Quest 2 256 GB model, and I kind of just want to talk about it and talk about my experience thus far and where I think it could really lead a lot of things. Um, so, get started further on. So I generally uh, kind of walked into it thinking that I would just be using it maybe not ever too long, maybe an hour or two, for maybe some VR chat or for some other games like Beat Saber that we picked up. But after getting into how easy the Quest 2 is to use and how freeing it is from not having to worry about having your hooked up to your computer, not having to worry about any wires connected to it unless, you're trying to do some recording or something with it. The freeingness of it is so great, and the fact that it pretty comes pretty much in contact with that of a PlayStation or Xbox console. You're getting a pretty good VR experience. Now, I will say it obviously is going to have some limitations on like resolution and what it can do. That's a given. Nothing wirelessly is going to be uh, perfect 4K, 8K resolution that some people like. But honestly, at the resolution it comes into, which I believe it can actually go up to 4K, you just get a little bit of lag if you do because rendering textures and all that can be pretty intensive and battery draining, so not really as recommended. I think the best I've gone so far is 4K with maybe 75 hertz refresh rate for you techies. That's about like the optimal without like having the stutter or uh, kind of nausea that it would induce. After getting some different games, we've been having me and my friends been having a crap ton of fun with just some various titles. Mentioned Beat Saber. We've starting some Dash Dash World, which is kind of like Mario Kart but in VR. And our latest title is Onward, which is more of a tactical first-person shooter, which all the mechanics are pretty much tied to real life reloading, unloading guns, being pretty much a Navy SEAL, which out of this world experience with that, and kind of what made me want to make the video uh, for today at least. But getting into it, why is this even relevant for any kind of furries? Well, as I mentioned, VR chat is one of those things that you can use in VR. Obviously, you don't need VR to do it. You can do it with a standard desktop, but I think the experience comes out a whole lot better when you have the headset on because you can actually physically see your character model in hand, look in the mirror, and just kind of have that whoa moment. And where I think this is kind of cool in the pandemic sense is we haven't had conventions in a while, but some conventions are creating worlds on those VR chat servers and actually hosting them for dates and having all the registration and such for them. And that kind of got me leading to think like it is a great alternative method for those who are gamers and who are furry as well to have a really good safe space without really having to uh, invest a whole much to uh, you know have like a fursuit or go out and do things when you really can't, such as in the pandemic. And it still allows that kind of community and sense of community on getting together with people while still being safe with it. And I find that really cool that some of the convention centers are doing that for some of the bigger ones. Um, Another thing, as I said, it's a lot more economical sense. Is it's a lot cheaper to probably commission someone to make a 3D model of your character than it is to have someone commission a full fursuit for you. You're probably looking about a tenth of the cost that it would take, depending on who does it, of course. And obviously, level of detail, character complexity, and all the other little factors. But for the most part, there is that kind of factor when you think about it. And as I said, going into VR chat, they did have some free sonas to use as well, so you can kind of pick and use those until you do get a character. But what I find really cool is when you do have it in VR, just being able to kind of see yourself with the paws on or with like whatever animation you're doing in the mirror and look, it is really just kind of all kind of inspiring moment for kind of where we come with certain things like that. I will say I haven't had like the best of experience with VR at times. Long ago with my cousins, they had the HTC Vive, and while that was really good, having needing a very powerful computer rig and all the wires and stuff that went into making sure it tracked properly wasn't just the easiest thing to do in the world. Plus the expensiveness of it. To PlayStation VR, which was relatively really good and cheap, but it had a lot of tracking issues, at least for my setup, because I didn't have a lot of space and still really don't have a lot of space for VR. And the camera just requires too much of a room to be able to really get the full on effect of the tracking and experience. Now, not saying it's bad or anything, but the resolution on it a little bit too can be a little bit hindering because uh, you don't get that visual effect as you would on certain things. And moving into the Quest 2, as I said, I really didn't expect to be playing it as much or getting too much into it. Maybe just make a few videos here and there, which I will be working on trying to get VR content uh, when I'm uh, when I'm able to. I'm still working on getting the kinks resolved out of getting everything set up. That's a process and a half itself. But that kind of ties into my next thing of kind of the accessibility of the Quest 2. While you don't need a computer to uh, actually run or anything, or even record, it is helpful to have one because you can still utilize it to play the PC games that are in Steam VR or Rift or what have you. You just need to do a little bit of digging and getting things set up, but that's kind of the versatility of it. Is now they also have it to where you can wirelessly do that if your internet's good enough. I tried that. I didn't really like it as much, but my internet, while it is really good, where I'm at isn't the most stable to stream that much information at a consistent rate, especially since other roommates and uh, the distance from the router to the headset and router to the computer are just too much to kind of expect a great quality from. But for people that can get the use out of that, it has worked really good. There's also the being able to cast it to your Chromecast or any device that is Chromecast acceptable. And I think that kind of versatility is just really nice to have in the end there. And when it becomes more accessible or when they are able to get even better with the technology that goes into it, I think we're definitely in for a treat. Whether you're a gamer or not, I think it does have some things to offer. As I said, VR chat and VR is spectacular. It's really fun. Lots of things to do and explore. Even for me, that's someone that's socially awkward and doesn't really like to talk to people that much or get out there and do things. It's definitely an experience and a half. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter there. And I would love to kind of show off and talk about those things, but unfortunately, I don't really have the capability to get the footage I want with sound or with the quality I'm wanting to look for at the moment with how I'm currently able to get things set up. But do look in the future for that kind of content, as I will definitely be doing a lot of that, especially with my friends, to get that out there. But in the end, I hope you guys enjoy, and definitely check out any of the VR setups that are out there. If you can afford a little bit more, obviously there are better solutions than the Quest 2. But if you're someone that maybe has a few $100 that they can drop, I would definitely recommend it from my experience so far. You don't need a computer to do almost anything unless you're wanting to do some hardcore VR streaming and such for it. But as I said, um, there's still stuff that you can do within the device itself, even on that matter. It's just going to be lower quality. So take it with a grain of salt. It's a really awesome device and has a lot going for it, I think, within the future. And when they're able to uh, get those features rolling, I think we have a good time coming. So, till then, guys, stay fluffy. Hope you enjoyed, and bye bye.